Good evening, everyone. This is the Hingham Historic Districts Commission meeting. It is October 25th, 6:30 p.m., 2018. Thanks for coming, everyone. So, we have 4 voting members here, and I know, Justin, you were here for the 13th for 279 North. So can you be the 5th voting member on the on 279 North for the first one? And then, Mac, could you be the 5th voting member on 1007 Main Street?
Yep.
Okay, that'd be great. The other items are informal, so I don't think I need to appoint anybody. We can all just opine on those when they come up. Second piece of business, are there any concerns, constraints that anyone has regarding conflicts with any of these applications this evening?
No.
Good, no issues? Okay. All right. With that, let's start off with, Monica's here, and Don and Julie are here also, so thanks for coming. And we'll start off with 279 North Street.
Hi. Boy, everybody's here.
Okay, these guys can sit with me. They're running down. Here, sweetie.
So thank you for having us out over the weekend. Really appreciate it. It was very helpful to see the property and to see how the addition's going to fit in. I appreciate you marking it off, too. It was very helpful.
Well, we did a bunch of work on the plan. This is the third, I think the third. I think it's pretty good. So on the, we're trying to do an addition on the back, 15 feet. I think that the site visit was probably helpful at knowing that it comes back on that left side from the rear. And so if you notice on A2, the pitches of the roof, so there was always a concern with what was the pitch of the original roof, how far down is the new roof going to be off the ridge? And, Daniel didn't think that the drawings of the second revision looked correct either, because they looked like they were further down, and the roof is 8.6 at the ridge. Inside. And so we reevaluated that, and indeed, there was an error on that. So 8.6 inside at the ridge, we brought the entire structure of the third floor up to end up being 6 inches below the ridge in the front. So now this rear addition is, the third floor is higher. The pitches remain the same as they were on the second revision. And I brought up the concern of the 2.5 pitch on the gable, and was, told, because we had talked about maybe some copper or something, but they said you're never going to see it. You're never going to see it. It's too high, and you won't see it from any direction. So they said, ice and water shield it, and if you want to do architectural, that would even work. Just really make sure that you ice and water shield it to death. The windows we lined up on, which I think was a great suggestion. So they line up from the windows on the third floor down. And I think that with the staking of the property, you can see that from the elevation on this side. This is a 3D from the North Street Burton's Road corner. So in the past, the elevation was straight on from the side, so we thought it would be helpful to do it from where you would actually see it rounding the corner from there. So this is the view from there. And I think that the porch also makes it look less dense on that side. It's still the same dimension back from the side. I think we were all kind of in agreement that the other side of it, you can't see the other side because it's back, 10, 12 feet of that portion that we're not building behind.
The right-hand side.
Yes, the right-hand side, where I was acting as the wall. And we attached to the packet the information that's from the town about the property and what was new and what was old concerning the brick, and concerning what was felt to be historically significant versus an add-on. That was the information that the Palmers were given when they purchased the home. So, kind of saying that the brick in the back is not historically significant, was an add-on, and was an applied detail.
Okay, anything else?
Anything else? We looked at that. I think we're good.
Any questions from the audience? No? Okay. Open up for discussion. Who would like to start?
So I'm just going to see.
There. I don't see a floor plan as part of this. I look back at some of the other documents.
The floor
Is there a
plan?
floor plan that was submitted with this?
The floor plan is...
Thanks.
And this is just a bigger, if it's too hard to see the elevations, the front and the back, just to be bigger. If No, he has the floor plans.
Mike has a couple of sets of them?
Yeah, there's a couple of sets, and then I
Okay.
had some at the site visit, and I have some more.
You looked at extending the new roof eave down to match the,
I'll see what
basically somehow bringing it down so it matches the fascia.
No, we never thought about that.
This kind of looks, that sticks out to me, being up above.
But it's back from the house, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
I
know
mean,
what you're saying.
if you think that that's a detail that would make it look better, we'd be glad to address it.
Yeah, no, I know what
Yeah,
you're saying.
yeah,
It's
yes.
tough. Oh, I was just looking at the back elevation and basically how the fascia is raised above the existing fascia.
On this, he's saying, have I thought about extending this to connect to this, but
Just-
this is, a foot back from this, so if it's a detail that you think would add, I'd be glad to detail to the term, but never crossed my mind. So I'll show you. This piece right here, yeah, to extend this one down to here, so that it kind of comes over and connects. This piece that's running into the house, to connect it over and make, bring it down a little bit so that it evens with this. Which would be fine. Wouldn't affect anything on the inside, or affect the second floor windows. Yeah.
So Mark, would the dormer change or?
I don't think,
No, it would just be an extension down to
I see.
match up with
Okay.
this, but I don't know if it's better or not if it's, connected to that same roof eave.
Uh-huh.
Because then it starts to look like the same home. Just right now, it seems very separate, I guess.
yeah. Well, I'm always kind of trying to think that it evolved over time type of
Right.
thing. It got added on with the change in, this is the cutest baby.
And right now, the overhangs of the roof of the existing house are deeper than the addition, so it's a little different. just feels like almost a different house in style, kind of.
I'm never sure if it should be, plainer, like, when they did the houses that extended over time and they got a little bit plainer in the rear, or if the detail to match would be better.
Well, the Secretary of the Interior standards do call for a differentiation,
Yeah.
so.
Mac or Mike, anything else?
I had a few questions, I don't know. I'm trying to reconcile the second floor plan with the dormers on the back. I mean, I like the idea, I like the roof forms, that they're kind of breaking up that back, but what I'm trying to understand is how it relates to the floor plan, because you've got smaller dormers on the side, right, so you're going to lose some space here. The windows don't match necessarily here. Is this is the second floor? Right here?
Yeah, that's the second
This is the second floor,
Yeah.
and is there, so is there, oh,
Yeah,
so
this
you
is
do
the
have the
third
third
floor.
floor.
Yeah,
So,
to be, finished at a different time or anything, but the ability to get out there.
You know what, you're gonna
I'm sorry.
into the mic, that's okay.
Little shed roof.
oh, I see where that is now, yeah. So now with these, with the planes, what I'm also trying to do is understand the planes of these.
It's applied, the trim is applied, so it's a flat detail.
This is flat with each other.
But-
And this is flat with that. Because I think with,
We
a
added that-
detail like this is just slightly pushed back a
We-
little bit.
we
and then
added-
that's pushed back a little bit more.
It was totally flat, and then we added that trim detail to try to make it look like it's broken apart more, that detail between the second and third floor that you're pointing to.
Which I appreciate breaking that up. It seems as if you're going to do that this plane is a little further back, because I'd want to see a section cut through that, because if this is, a foot, I don't know what that overhang is, how those details come together with this face to this detail, and how that is in plane. Because right now, if they're all flat, I don't know that that's the right solution for this application, but I think you can just be subtle with some of the differences in those planes, and I don't think it would affect your floor plan all that much.
I did a gambrel house in Duxbury that was, the false gambrels, so you frame them flat and then you do the trim detail, and then it looks like it's a real gambrel, but it isn't framed like that. In talking with my drafter about this, he said that's the same idea, that we're doing a flat plane and we're applying the trim to make it look like it's more 3D, to break it up. But I could definitely ask him for a section.
Yeah, I think section cut and details, because that trim just kind of sits in the middle of that asphalt shingle, so there's some unresolved details, I think, happening in that upper band that I think are going to be critical, because you will see that from, the side street over here.
Only if you're at the stucco house. If you're up, you can't see it from the driveway. Do you think you'll be able to see it from
Oh,
the
yeah.
driveway?
Yeah,
You think?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I figure when it's 15 feet further back, you know what, I'm not a good judge of when it is 15 feet back, but also that tall, where you'd be able to see it exactly from, but not from the side.
You'll see it from the public way.
Yeah.
I guess is what I'm getting at. I don't think they're major modifications. I think it's details.
Monica, I have a question on the Palladian window. What's the rationale for that style window in this house?
It's existing.
Oh, the Palladian is? Oh,
It's part of, I think it's actually mentioned in the
It is.
paperwork.
oh, it
In
is?
this,
Oh,
the
I missed it.
architectural description.
Oh, I guess I was hoping for different.
Another one of the things that they mentioned being added on afterwards and not,
It's part of the
Yeah.
quirky.
Yeah,
You know, as well as that larger square window that's below it on the
Yeah.
second, yeah.
yeah,
That's the existing house.
yeah.
It is pretty cool from inside up in the attic when you're looking at it.
I just appreciated coming out and seeing it. I had a hard time visualizing it beforehand, but walking the property and as well as seeing the drawings was very helpful.
Thanks for coming. I know it's a big thing Saturday morning, early. Thank you for coming.
That's absolutely. I'm persuaded that the indentation, or the setback, I guess is what I should say, is significant enough to make it clear that it's an addition and doesn't affect the main house. So you can tell there was the house and then there was an addition. So I'm satisfied with this, and I think the plans look good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I would concur my fellow commissioners' comments, and also I think the site visit was very helpful to see. I think the property is big enough to handle the size that you're proposing, as well, it seems, in harmony with the rest of the neighborhood. And I think the site visit was important to see that and be comfortable with. And you also do appreciate the new drawings with the existing and the proposed clearly laid out. And again, I think the site visit, but I would be supportive of the overall, the mass is proposed, and would defer to some of my fellow commission members regarding the trim details. I'm not as expert at that.
Anything else? Good? Okay. So, in reviewing this application, I went to one of our resources that we use very frequently, Get Your House Right. It's got a lot of drawings and details. So I'm coming at this a little bit differently. There is a, on page 22, and I'll share this with you, there is some drawings here. I think what you're trying to accomplish here, but it basically just, it simplifies things down. So it simplifies the roof forms in a sense. And it says, start with the roof plan. Design from the roof plan down, not from the floor plan up. Think about the volumes of the house before you get locked into a floor plan that cannot be covered with simple forms. So you know, this is a very simple colonial house, and if you want to take a look at this, there's kind of a simple L off the back that you could do, which what I was talking about earlier with you in previous meetings, and then just kind of a simple, you know, roof here that, so you don't have kind of two gables going off the back and some different, you know, roof angles and that sort of thing. It just keeps it very simplistic. And it also works for us in terms of our review and how we talk about the reversibility of in applications. If this was ever going to come off the back, you could easily take it off the back and you're still left with your colonial that you started with. So it's one of the things we think about in our review. It's just my interpretation of things and how I'm coming at this. So it's a very different design than what you have with the, you know, with the roof, the two gables off the back and all these different angles and that sort of thing. It's a different approach. There's no right or wrong way, but I think this is it's something to kind of consider and think about when you're coming up with a design.
But I want to show this. First tape. First did it.
Yep.
And I think that wasn't what you were looking for.
I think to get the space, because we weren't going that far back, we're trying to keep it closer so to make the space. And then, and the reason that I think we're doing the two peaks is so that from every, you know, public way, looks, it would look the same as that, right? Because you've still got the steeper pitch of the roof, so from that first one, you wouldn't really see the second one. But I thought it was more important to keep it, or we thought it was more important to keep it closer to the house, and to still get the space that we needed, so we went further across.
I think the other issue with that is the L on the driveway side, as diagrammed by this, doesn't give them the open concept they want as far as the kitchen and living spaces, and they really wanted the kitchen on that side because that's where all the sun is. It's much darker on the other side, and if we were going to, totally gut the house and say, put the kitchen anywhere you want, I think in their opinion, they'd still want it in the back left corner because it's sunny. So we did look at that as our first, one of our first, when it was like an L. Also, the staircase would end up being off-center, no matter if you did it on the left or on the right to get into the third floor. So I don't think that that design would work for what they requested.
We actually drew it like that, and the staircase, it didn't look good on that.
That was the first pass. So we had the first pass, the second pass with the large gable, the third pass with the split gable, which is where we are now. And this design, the big gable, basically, the second gable, the large gable that went across the top on the third floor, that basically is the same box interior space. But I think it was a recommendation that you guys didn't really like that big gable, so that's why we split it into the two gables. And then by making the windows symmetrical, and I understand that the front of the house, the antique colonial, is always going to look like the antique colonial, and the back of the house, although you may be able to see a peek of it from Burton's Road or the third floor from Burton's Road, primarily a lot of it you're not going to be able to see. And as far as taking it off the house, if anyone ever did that, we're just doing a gable just the same as what you're suggesting into the main roof. So it wouldn't be any different.
I think what you're doing is you're working with the whole roof in the back, pretty much, that the construction is that whole back roof is going to have to come off. And you're basically putting 3 floors up against the whole, I think it's about, is it about 50 feet?
Well,
About on the whole side, so it's a more simplistic, this drawing is a more simplistic approach with the roof forms, it's a more simplistic approach with the back, and I'm just trying to make a recommendation that's similar to what you already have there, instead of creating all these different angles and roof lines in the back that is not there with the house. Just my interpretation of things, like if I don't know if you want to think about it or not, it's just my view of things and how, if, I'm not sure how I'm going to vote on this, but if I don't vote the other way, that would be the way, that would be a reason, so.
Have you guys looked at using the existing attic space for some of this program, like the rec room, moved into the existing attic space?
Yeah, we want to take advantage of that space. That's why we're trying to get stairs up there. Because there's usable space up there now, but there's no way to get to it, and we couldn't get stairs.
They're almost like ship stairs, what we have now. So
Okay.
we really needed a new staircase to get all the way up there.
That's
So I was
the
just-
reason for taking the.
I was just thinking if you could bring this space to this area, then you could lower this height and drop that gable, as Hans is mentioning, like putting a one-sided gable on this side, and this is only a 2-story reading on this side. So you could use that existing space for your rec room, or maybe back here. Yeah.
actually kind of explains how we ended up with the roof the way that it is. Because we started with this idea that you're talking about, and it has to be either right in the middle of the gable to get the height, the headspace, or it has to be almost like a separate box. And it can't be, if we just do the L on the side, the staircase can't be in the middle because that's where our kitchen is. And then the separate box looked terrible. We really didn't like that.
The staircase goes down to the left, right, so it's not really an issue on this side of the plan. So this is already down into the second floor. So
I'm
this,
sorry, I
this
don't
whole
have my
half.
glasses on, so I can't. Can I just come over and see what you're talking about?
I think that the space that you see in that third floor is kind of misleading, because like, so at the peak in the center, it's like 8'6".
Right.
It gets unusable really quickly as it's.
Yeah, so I'm just
Because
saying that, you know, the stair goes down here, from this line over, you could really lower that roof form, and then bring this program into the existing somewhere.
Can you say that again?
So if you, basically you're going down a flight, half a flight,
Yep.
and then down another flight, so.
Oh,
at
you're
this
saying the
point
ceiling
over-
doesn't have to be as high on this side?
Right, this is
Okay.
down into the second floor. So this whole zone can be the second floor. And this volume.
Right.
This can move over to here, and then you guys could still have some of this space, or reverse
Right.
that.
So if we're doing this like this, the staircase here, this peak would still only be 8 feet, right? Because we're doing 6 inches lower than the ridge here.
Yeah, so you
over
have usable
here-
space.
Yeah, but
right.
the staircase here would be where the roof goes down, right? So it would be less than 8 feet where you come up the top.
Well, there's ways to achieve that as well.
And so you also have, so the peak's here, so probably from here on is unusable, like height-wise, because the peak's coming down. And then all of this space will be unusable, because then you've got the peak coming down to here. So
Right.
it's really going to end up with, well, if you do it this way, so this peak space would be about like this area that you could.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying.
Use.
So I
And
mean,
then
there-
Makes sense.
the usable space that's in the current plan, which is for future expansion, because they're not currently doing it, but they want to be able to do it down the road. Some of that original space with the low ceilings, say the whole knee wall area, I have to get the HVAC system up there. So I need space for that also. I can't get the heat for this whole thing from the basement.
yeah.
So we started out like that, and then we
Yeah.
had the box, and that looked terrible. So then we did the one peak with the staircase in the middle to get the head space. But it's too big across the back, which is how we ended up with the 2, and we thought that it looked from the street as if we were doing the original L.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those
But
have to
it
compromise.
accommodated the stairs, and it didn't look weird with the stairs.
Yeah, to give the appearance that you're looking for from the outside. Your point taken about, it being harder to then remove later, but appearance-wise, we were trying to compromise to have that same appearance as if it was one L from the street, but then by doubling it, give us the more space.
And we thought, too, doing it like that, it makes the L shorter, so it looks like a smaller addition from the street, which I understand is also a concern.
And I think the porch on that end also lessens the bulk. It also works with being able to have a mudroom and on the kitchen side.
You're very talkative tonight, not usually this talky.
Let's say.
She wants to join.
She's very excited about government. This is Rayleigh.
Do you guys want to think about this plan some more, given that's what's been discussed, or do you want to move forward? How would you like to approach this? I know there's some details, Mike, that you asked for, but I mean, is there enough here that we can move forward with with this application, or you want to see more, you want to think about it, you want to think about what we said?
I mean, I think the suggestions that you and Mac are making are great suggestions, and just sort of covering that with my hand, I mean, it just, achieves a lot of what you're describing over there. But, whether there's a willingness to do that, I guess, is the question.
Well, I think it's ultimately up to,
That's what I mean.
yeah.
I mean, I think it's fine the way it is, but I just thought there was maybe some room to take a look at another solution, but.
We thought about it.
Yeah, I know, it sounds
We
like you
did.
guys have put some time into it, so.
No, but I think, listening to the discussion here, I mean, you had a number of people talk favorably about it, so, you may want to just, move forward as it is.
What do you guys think?
That's
I don't want to have to.
dramatic,
Yeah,
utterly inappropriate elements on this proposal.
definitely not.
We'd like to get going if everybody's ready to get going.
Do you want to see some more drawings, Mike, more specifics before we do a...
I definitely want to see some more details. I don't think it would hold up my vote on this, because I think there are ways that can be achieved, but, applied trim as it is not the right solution. So, if it's a foundation approval and, they're coming back with the details that will confirm what's happening up there, I mean,
Okay.
I don't know if that's an option.
I think if you guys are okay with the footprint and the drawings, what we have here generally, I think maybe we could move forward, but if you want to, I think we could also incorporate in a motion that some of the specific details are to come later. But I think we could get them going on a foundation plan if
Yeah.
that's what
Yep.
people would like to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay with that motion? Okay. Shall I make a motion?
Yeah, please.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to issue a certificate of appropriateness to 279 North Street for foundations only for the addition indicated in floor plans dated October 12th, 2018, and revised elevations dated October 22nd, 2018. Applicant to submit detailed sections in large details of the roof area at the third floor that shows eave details, gutter details, trim details of the third floor area. And we didn't talk about materials, generally window types and things like that, so I think indicating that in the return submittal would be required. All window types, window schedule, window materials, trim and siding materials, and roofing materials to be submitted.
Anything else? Okay.
Second?
Ronnie's second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? Good, you got it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Did you oppose?
Hey, Adrian.
Hi, how are you?
My wife, Mary Ann.
Hi, Mary Ann.
Hey, Zaccardi.
Here you go. Thank you very much. Thanks, you guys.
Welcome. How are you?
Nice to see you.
Good to see you. All right, this is Peter Zaccardi from 1007 Main Street. He would like He's here tonight because he'd like to do a demolition of an existing house that's on the property, and he has some plans for what he'd like to build in its place. We were out to see Peter last Saturday. Thanks for having us out there. Thanks for coming.
Oh, it's great to meet you all.
Good to walk the property and see exactly what the structure is. And I'll let you take it away. If you could just give us a brief overview of the project. You know, you told me it was 1960 house, and then I'll just take some questions from the audience after.
Sure. Well, when I first started to purchase the property, I was going to use the existing foundation. I since realized that the front 16 feet is concrete block, which would probably have to be replaced with a poured foundation system. And then after having the property surveyed, realized that it was quite cockeyed to the lot. So I thought with the end result, it'd be better to remove the existing foundation. I would have to remove the first 16 feet. And to straighten things out, it would look like I was kind of dummying things up, which I'm going to be selling the house as a finished product. And anytime you do that, it looks like you're hiding something. Or, you know, you're in the basement, and the basement's going this way, and the house is going that way. So what I wanted to do was straighten things out and go by the building envelope, and also pull it back from the street about 7 feet to be in keeping with the town boundaries and their setbacks. So what I saw a house being built in Situate. It was an 1850 style, typical, I don't know if it's a farmhouse or early federal, but you see them dotted up and down Route 228 and all throughout Situate. And they started with the same idea, and they built the house back like I'm proposing. And it looked very nice. They added some bump outs to give it some depth and relief along the way. I think it could use some tweaking. What I would like to do is to pronounce the front 20-foot section of the house a little more, maybe with a little more heavier trim, and maybe some heavy molding up top with a cap and a base molding on the bottom. And then have the rest of the house be a little more simple, which you tend to see with a lot of additions. They tend to use the smaller trim, but cheaper products maybe at the time, but they always seem to be a little, they take second stage to the main house. So that's my idea. And if you look, as you probably saw from your site visit, the long part of the house is along Blaisdell. So that's a show part of the house, as well as Main Street, of course. The only elevation I don't show is the back property, which is along the rear fence with a side fence, which you can't see from either street, but my architect ran out of time. He worked all weekend to get these. This isn't his only job, so he has other projects as well. But I was grateful to him to get this for me for the meeting, and so far this is what I have. There aren't any dimensions on the elevations, just on the floor plans.
Okay.
I can pretty much build the same house using the existing foundation, but it wouldn't have as much relief, and it wouldn't sit squarely on the property.
Okay. Good. Any questions from the audience? Hello.
Hi, Henry Goodhue, 8 Blaisdell Road.
Come on up and speak into a microphone if one's...
Sorry about that. It's okay, Mary.
What number?
8 Blaisdell Road.
Okay.
Good.
Where is that? Is that down, how far down is that?
That'll be, we'll be looking at this side.
Okay, so you're,
We're right next door on the right side.
you're butters on the back.
No, on the right side. So facing Blaisdell Road, facing the show part of the house,
Yeah.
Main Street, that's us.
Okay, gotcha.
So not the ones who have to look over a big fence to object about what the back looks like.
There was a metal fence going down Blaisdell.
Yeah.
I believe he's on the other side of that.
Great. So Sue Turback is the owner, I'm the delightful husband. So I'll ask a question, I'm sure she may have another. And that is, what is the coverage of the lot that is proposed for this basic design? I know that there are details to come, lots to get into, other meetings to attend.
You can
But-
see the overlay of where the existing garage is. So there'll still be a remaining 60 feet
Okay.
between
Thank
the
you.
garage and your property.
And then another question was, there is a tree right in the middle of the fence that we both own now. So I wondered if there was a plan for the one big tree that we really both own. It's a pine tree.
It's, where, it's right over here, kind of? Okay.
Well, that would be your call, but if you think it's endangering your house, it wouldn't be necessarily mine, but if you wanted that removed, I'd certainly be removing some trees.
Okay. Great. What is the square footage generally? Again, plenty of meetings to come, give or take, but what is the square footage generally that you're thinking of?
The square footage is roughly double plus the bonus room you'd get above the garage. The immediate foundation is the same, 20 by 60 with a bump out. Halfway in the house. Oh, thanks. It would be this bump out.
Oh, I
We
see.
show right, I'm sorry, which we show right here.
And his, Tony's bulkhead is right in here, right about now?
It would be right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
if
the
we
bump
move the
out-
house back a little, it would be in here. So if we move the foundation, the bulkhead would be probably here.
Okay.
Unless the town would allow me to put it in the rear. But I don't have the setback. In some towns, they count bulkheads for setbacks, and other towns, they don't.
Right.
Peter, just to get more specific on his question, do you have the square footage that you have there now with the house, the main house?
Right now, it's approximately 1450.
And your
We'd be
build-
looking at 2850. That's including the master bedroom above the garage.
Right, and then the garage and that other shed, that little porch will go, so those,
Yes.
there were some square footages with those.
Counting all those outbuildings, besides the bump out that's on Blaisdell, it's approximately the same square footage. It's presently a one-story ranch. So it would be that doubled,
And it
but
looks-
not on the footprint.
And it looks like the same, little bigger lot coverage, well, maybe the same, including all the buildings.
Make sure you're talking to the microphone. I'm sorry. We're live on TV.
So we can,
Is this what you're planning?
Yeah, I plan on pulling it back. This is the existing
Yeah,
with
yeah.
the slotted lines.
I was just getting confused with these and...
This is the
It's
town,
I'm
this is the
sorry,
setback.
I
Okay.
just need her to, you want to have a seat, Mrs. Turback? You can
Yeah.
sit right there
You
and
can-
then talk
you
into
can
this
keep that.
microphone so that everybody can see what you're
This was
asking.
recently
Yeah,
surveyed. and-
no, I was just confused about how that related to here. That's all. Now I'm clear.
Okay.
Thank you.
you know, we can get some specific lot coverage numbers for you, if we don't have them tonight, on the specifics with the outbuildings and with what he intends to build.
No, I understand there'll be many more meetings to get into those, a few more meetings
Yeah,
to
we
get
can-
into those specifics, and not here, just, they'll be building and other things.
No, it's a good question.
But might as well get the stake in the ground now from our point of view, just so we know what we're up against.
Okay.
Didn't mean that up against.
I understand, I know what you meant.
We're against...
I know
you're
what you
up-
meant.
What's in front of us?
Yeah.
What's in front of us? I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll figure it out. Any more questions? Good for right now? Okay.
No, I'm good. We're good.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
You
All
can
right.
keep this as well, that's the first floor plan.
Okay,
So
thank you.
they did the same, just a different scale.
Yep.
Any more questions from the audience? No? Okay.
Thank you.
So, Peter, there was an application here that was part of the demolition. I don't know if you had a chance to go through and look at some of this. If not, we can go through some of that here with our questions. Do you guys have any specific questions related to the demolition? We can just start there, of the house that's there now.
Well, just to be exhaustive, what is the historical evolution of the house? I mean, I don't think just saying 1960s means it's irrelevant, or saying it's small means it's irrelevant. What should we know about any history of the house?
I don't know, I guess it's a simple post-World War II, one-story ranch that was built all over the South Shore to house a lot of people, to satisfy that need.
So someone of the stature of Mary Todd Lincoln never lived there? She lived
Probably
in a
not.
very small house.
Maybe her son coming back from WW2.
No, I just want to be, I don't mean to be absurdly exhaustive, but I just want to make sure that we're not approving a tear down of something that does have some value, even though it seems rather modest.
I grew up working with my father in the late 60s and early 70s, and I didn't see anything in that era very significant to me. Growing up, working on raised ranches and ranches, compared to the houses at the turn of the century and things like that. I mean, the only place in history I see they have is they housed a lot of people, they served a certain need at the time. There was a big development of people moving from the city.
Yeah.
Of course,
Maybe we can get a Form B on this.
You think there is one?
Well, I didn't see one. I don't know if you got one when you purchased the house.
I'm sorry, what?
A Form B, it's just kind of an historical summary of the house when it was built. Some of the
Inventory document, is it?
Yeah, so it's all the homes, or pretty much every home in the historic districts has one related to it. This is a newer home, so there might not be much there. But maybe Andrea's got a copy we can ask about that. Is there a basement in the house?
Yes, a full basement.
Okay. I was wondering if the house was kind of moved and just onto the lot, but probably not, probably built there?
Probably just built there. I think the very front of the house could have been an afterthought. In the town hall, some of it looks like an enclosed porch.
Yeah.
I didn't bring the field card with me, but kind of suggest that. Their scales seem to be a little off from what I see. Just poking around the basement, and the front 16 feet has a crawl space, for instance. So it's suggesting to me the block doesn't go very far into the ground.
Did you do a title search? Do you
Oh,
know-
yeah.
Yeah, and do you know, was it like a subdivide from a larger piece of property that then was,
There were many pieces, there were many parcels. That whole neighborhood
yeah,
is a series of 20-foot parcels. And in this case, they start going this way and then go that way, but always 20 by 80, I believe. So
this was the first structure that was on it,
Yeah.
that you know of?
but I think the first 16 feet have been added on after 1960.
Yeah.
We have a questionnaire here. It's part of the application process that we approved regarding demolitions. We can go through this, and maybe it'll help us come to a conclusion on this.
Okay.
So it's part of the application for demolition that the owner or the applicant is requested to fill out. So I don't know if you had a chance to go through
No,
this.
I didn't, I filled out one application, I didn't
Okay.
see that part.
Question one, are there reasonable measures that can be taken to save the historic structure or site? So I guess the question is this historic? You know, and is this applicable, this first question?
It would seem so.
My impression was that it was sort of non-contributing from a historic perspective, but
Within the district, but I don't think
Okay. So, what do you think, Virginia? Get the Form B, to get some...
I like data.
Yeah. All right. Let's see if Andrea knows when she comes back, if there's a Form B with that, if there's anything.
I mean, I think it's unlikely
Yeah.
that it's historically relevant, but I just think it would be good to have the data.
right, if there was a form,
Yeah,
you should know what
yeah.
it says. But I know, based just on site inspection, I'd
Yeah.
be surprised.
Yeah.
All right, so,
I believe Anthony Barisi purchased the house for probably $1 from his father. So that probably brings it back to the 70s when he bought it.
You know, it may or may not be on the inventory, but it probably may be in the historic district notebook of all properties in the district.
Look at that.
Oh, here's data.
Wow. It's a new age.
so this says 1934?
Thanks, Andrea.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
So it says, historical significance, explain the role owners played in local or state history and how the building relates to the development of the community. Descendants of three of Hingham's earliest families, the Gardners, Lascelles, and the Spriggs, are associated with the site occupied by the 1934 clapboarded house built by Minnie V. Kennedy in the Liberty Plain area of South Hingham. The history of the land is somewhat similar to that of 995 Main Street, which lies across Blaisdell Road to the north. Francis Gardner, a participant in the Narragansett fight in 1675, acquired the land, which included both 995 and 1007 Main Street, from John Lewis in 1688. He died in 1689, and his son Samuel retained 995 Main Street until 1753. But the 1007 Main Street lot went to John Gardner, a laborer who kept it from 1742 until 1757. All these Gardners were descendants of John Gardner, who came to Hingham in 1650. And it goes on, Carpenter Israel LaSalle bought 995 Main Street in 755 and 1007 Main Street in 1757.
But that's commentary about the land, right?
Yeah, it just talks about tying the property to historical people.
The architectural significance is on the last page.
Oh, thanks. The residence was built in 1934 in a traditional style. Its longitudinal side faces Blaisdell Road, while the gable end is on Main Street. The gable facade is composed of a central entrance with simple enfrainment, with a double 1/1 window on each side. The rest of the windows are irregular. A few are 6/1, and there is a horizontal window under the eaves, set under a low-pitch ridge roof. This one-story cottage is walled with traditional clapboards and shingles and has on the side elevation a small gable, which alleviates the long line of the side wall. is a pleasing component of the proposed Liberty Plain Local Historic District. So there's some minor details there, it's not a ton.
Mr. Zaccardi, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, probably, what were we thinking, a date of 1960?
Yeah.
And maybe that is what is in the assessor's database.
Yes.
It is absolutely, happens often.
So 34 is probably the,
This was done by our preservation consultants, so they do. It's somewhere in between 1934 and 1960.
yeah.
Probably closer to the 30s or 40s.
But it sounds like Monique Laner did this when the Liberty Plain Historic District was being proposed, yeah.
Yes, exactly, and has since been established.
Yeah. I mean, it's a paragraph here, there's not a lot of detail in it. I mean, you kind of draw your own conclusion. It's a cottage, it says it's a cottage, you know, gable facing the street. Make a determination. And we do have, you know, the initial plans for what's being proposed here in its place, so we need to take all that into consideration here. I'm not just looking at you, Virginia.
I don't, after reading that, I don't see anything significant there that makes this contributing, my opinion.
Yeah, I think it looks like a lot of it was probably built closer to the 60s. So,
Don't mean to interrupt. I think whatever was there has been replaced.
yeah, it looks like a 60s ranch. I mean, the materials for sure look like that. So, didn't seem, to me when I was there, it didn't seem contributing.
Including I don't think the block was 1930s either.
Right.
Right.
That would be the only original part
Mhm.
I would see. Everything else, that did one of the early forms of form work was 1-foot strips going sideways, and that was about 1960. They started using that.
Yeah, I didn't see any reason to object to a demolition.
Yeah, me neither. It seemed to me to be, well, I see it as a kind of a shotgun house, but I guess that's not true. But when you look at it from the front, it just goes straight back. And, you know, I'm no expert historically, but when you look at historic properties in Hingham and you look at this house, it just doesn't compare to a traditional historic property. Although I understand it's in the district, but the house doesn't seem to ring true to a historic property.
Well, you know, there's a reason Alec McMillan said Virginia Tay has never voted for a tear down in Hingham. I have a problem with tearing it down, given the prominence of the people who owned it before. You know, the Gardners were very prominent in South Hingham. It's a Gardner property. It was a Gardner property. And I understand the problem with this house is that it looks like a nothing house, except that it does have a historical provenance of being a Gardner house, except even I can appreciate that it doesn't have the remnants of the influence of historicity. So I don't mean to think aloud here, but I may not be so persuaded not to tear it down. You know, as I was a property on School Street a number of months ago that was a 1940s cape that was a shipyard worker's house. And I voted not to tear that down because I thought that there was history to it in terms of what it was created for, who lived there, and so forth. And it was a remnant of early School Street. Obviously, no pun intended, that ship has sailed. But,
Yeah.
but, you know, this, I'm not as persuaded by this property in terms of how it appears to want to keep it, despite the history.
I think somebody beat me to it. Tearing it down.
Yeah, yeah.
Virginia, I know exactly how you feel on this. I'm one to protect all of these buildings in the district. What the difference I felt from School Street versus this is that this one needed just a lot of work to it. It just the upkeep, and I just realistically, to get this to a place where it could be a welcome home for somebody, would just be a lot of investment, and and that's the part that I just how am I going to get comfortable with that? On the School Street one, and I still feel for that house. It was part of that streetscape, and a well-traveled streetscape for 70-plus years, and it was a home for just for many people, not just who was in there, but it was an affordable option for someone to move into School Street, and I got that. But I think this one just it just feels like it needs a lot of upkeep and a lot of work to justify, to keep it going, and that's probably not going to happen.
Well, I also think that maybe what has happened to the property in 30 years since Monique Lehner wrote The Architectural Significance is quite different. That there might have been, we don't know, but I think there might have been a lot of remodeling to make any patina, the pleasing component, I think, is long gone, from what she observed.
I don't think anything original is there.
Well, not even original, but even evolutionary. But I do think what's important is what goes there, and that it be a fit. I think it's not only about these houses, but it's also about their context. And, you can put a massive anything on a minimal anything, but it's not really respectful to the context. And I think it's important with a house like this. This was a modest house, and I don't know when it was built or whatever, but I think something that fits into the streetscape is going to be tremendously important, frankly, for the neighborhood.
That's what I'm going for.
Yeah. I must say, with full disclosure, I'm biased because I live in the neighborhood. But
not in a butter.
no, I'm not in a butter, no.
Not within the setback.
No, of course not, no.
Okay. I think based on these preliminary drawings, we can get a gable facing Main Street farmhouse that, could work well with some of the other buildings in the neighborhood as a replacement to this, and something that, could be there for the next 100, 200 years. Where this one, if we let this go and, Peter or somebody else is not willing to make the investment, and it just kind of deteriorates over time.
Sure.
So, there is some historic context here. I think we all agree that there's some folks that lived on this street and on this area, Liberty Plain, that were significant contributors to the town.
But they might not have lived in that particular structure as it exists today.
That's right. So, what would you all like to do? You want to take a vote on a demo tonight? We could do that. We can give some initial feedback on some of these drawings. We could do that also. Any suggestions?
Mr. Chairman, the application is for demolition of the main building and outbuildings, so I think that's, and then we will ask Mr. Zaccardi to complete an application for the new construction.
Okay. Let's just go through these other these few questions here to make sure we complete this. What is the condition of the structure and its probable life expectancy? I think that kind of gets to the heart of the issue here. What did you guys think?
End of life.
Do we have the demo sheets?
End of the line, late stage, I don't know how you want to...
The twilight.
Hospice housing?
I mean, isn't the term end of life?
Useful life.
Okay.
All right.
Is relocation of the structure a practical and preferable alternative to demolition? No. What are the reasons for demolishing the structure? Do alternatives exist? Build something new? Any other alternatives that people can think of? Open land? Right, best use of the property is to build something new? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, just back to the comment about the alternatives. I think Mr. Zaccardi identified that the existing foundation may be workable, except that it wouldn't sit properly on the lot. So in terms of the existing, that wouldn't be an option.
Okay. Is there public necessity for the proposed demolition? Not really. Is there a public purpose or interest in the land or buildings to be protected?
I didn't see anything.
I think it takes us back to the history really being in the land more than in the building. And perhaps, that could be worked in somehow with a plaque or with some, calling it the Gardner House or some relation back to the original.
That would be nice.
That would be nice.
The original owners, but not really. I think it seems more the land than the building that has the historic value.
Gardner site.
Okay. I mean, a plaque could be an alternative here. A good option. Okay. What are the plans for the reuse of the property if the proposed demolition is carried out? How would the plans affect the character of the surrounding area? So,
Single-family home.
And to be determined.
Is to be determined, I think.
Oh,
Okay.
right.
is the historic structure or site capable of earning reasonable economic return on its value? Probably not.
The structure.
Yep.
The current structure, but the site itself, yes.
Site itself, yes.
Okay. Is there potential that the proposed demolition could adversely affect other historic buildings or the character of the historic district?
No.
I don't think so.
No. Future project to be reviewed once application is submitted. Okay. Andrea, should we opine on some of these drawings before an application is submitted? or
I
should we
would
wait
say
on
that we're running quite late, and we have two applicants.
Okay. Okay.
So I would say,
Let's just vote on the demo? Okay. And demolition of the foundation, correct? Somebody like to make a motion? Voting members would be, Mac, you're going to vote on this one, right?
Yep.
want to make the motion?
You want to
Mayor?
make a motion, Mac?
Sure. It's my first one.
1007, Main.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve the demolition of 1007 Main Street But I guess survey, there's no date on this, but future plans to come for the proposed design, approving just the demolition of the existing single-family dwelling and outbuildings, including garage and 2 sheds. Anything I'm missing? Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Good.
Okay,
Very
all
good.
set.
Thanks for your time, Will.
So you know we meet next month, depending upon your timing of getting an application in
Okay,
for the house.
That'll be in
I'm going to
shortly.
get you an application.
Oh, thanks.
Attorney, and then you can, that's
Can I squeak in a parting comment? It would be nice to see the Main Street facing elevation. Oh, it looks, that little door looks a little bit like an afterthought there, but I don't want to get us into a discussion.
Okay. I think I'd like to go. Thank you.
Shed roof on that, maybe, he didn't have time to. But, yeah, thanks for your time.
Appreciate it. Okay. Sorry for the delay. Al? 389? Okay. Al Kearney's here to informally discuss 389 Main Street for an addition on the house.
Ordinance model.
Windows to face, we need windows to put candles in to face Main Street.
Single white.
That's right.
Good evening.
How are you?
How are you?
How you doing?
How are you? I'm Tim Wagner. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Tim.
Tim's the owner. Tim and I have been working together since about August, sketching and designing and trying to make his house better. It's 389. It's on the corner of Thompson, Maine, and Aberdeen. It's sort of surrounded by public ways, so all views are important.
Well, to be clear, the house is perfect the way it is. Just want to make sure, because a little bit of background on me. So I have, my wife and I moved in about 3 years ago. We have 4 kiddos, and we absolutely love this property. We looked all over Hingham. Actually, we looked between Duxbury and Hingham, and we picked Hingham because it looked just like Stockbridge. So I grew up on Main Street in a historic home on Stockbridge. And so if you guys know Stockbridge at all, the last house before the golf course on the right-hand side looks just like 389 Main Street. And so we did an addition when I was about 5 years old. And so for a lot of the same reasons that we would like to do an addition. So we're down a bedroom, and we also have parents that are getting up in their years, and the staircase is like a ladder in order to get into the second floor. So I've moved 3 times in 15 years for my work. I work for a company based in Cupertino, California, and I'm not moving to Cupertino, California. So we found our home, and so this is kind of representative of us growing roots in the community and wanting to stay here with our kiddos and having our kiddos have a home base. So that gives you a bit of background of our family and how much we love this property. And it's the Morris Fearing house. I'm sure you guys are familiar with this property on Main Street. Back to you, sir.
It's green, right?
Sorry?
It's green?
Actually, it was green, and the sides were blue. And so when we moved in, we were like, that's strange, that the front of the house has like this light green color, and the sides of the house were this kind of like sandstone blue.
Yep.
So we called in, and they said, you can match the color, just don't change the trim. And the trim has to be a very specific color based on the historic qualifications.
Right.
So it's actually like a sandstone blue now.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, as you can tell, very passionate owner.
Yeah.
And again, we appreciate this. It's
Thanks
just
for your time.
discussion, and we can get into the model. I met with Andrea a couple weeks ago, maybe, and she suggested doing this, so it just helps us all, I think, imagine and see what the proposed addition would look like. So I can hand out drawings if it helps. Or do you want to?
This is great to
Love them all.
Yeah, I don't know. I used to do these all the time, and I just haven't done one in a long time, and I can't remember why I don't do them anymore, because they're very helpful.
If you could point out what's existing
Oh,
now
yeah.
and what you want to build.
Al, could you please take that microphone with you so that you're talking in?
Sure. So This is Maine, right, and Thompson. And so this is all existing. And I actually did this addition 17 years ago with John D'Angelo. John built this. I couldn't believe it was 17 years ago. But so that's existing, and then the house ends here, and there's a small addition. I can show you some photographs.
From the 1960s, they put in a 3-season room, which is now my office, which gets really hot in the summer and really freezing in the winter. But it's probably about a third of the structure that's there now.
Yeah, it's a one-story.
That's authentic colonial, you're supposed to be hot in the summer.
It does feel that way.
It's a one season.
That's exactly right. My wife wants it back, actually, by the way.
And so it just, we again went back and forth a bunch of different ways with sketching. And this form and mass just seemed to complete the structure. Visually, it's very much in keeping. It balances with what's here. This is all existing to here, and then we're proposing this connectivity over to around and back. And it's a huge lot. The Aberdeen's over here.
It's a double lot. There's actually two lots that came to one. I didn't even know that until we were closing. But it's about 0.65 acres. And if you go by the property, you see the kids out there. But we put a nice little area for playing. And my thing was, don't invade on that. Make sure there's still enough area for the kids to play. So we didn't move much off the existing structure. We just kind of used the space that was kind of dead already in the property.
Yeah, it fills the lot in nicely is what it ends up doing, in our opinion. So, so this is the proposed addition here. And again, we're dealing with mass, and we're trying to keep roof lines as low as we can, and retain windows and retain window balance in the facades. And there's a window up here that isn't shown, but it's there now, and it'll stay there. And we're trying to maintain the integrity of the main house but still add additional bedrooms and interior living space. So that's it. Sort of, you can, it's kind of fun to hold, but you can just see how it all sort of, it visually kind of brings the eye down to grade. Again, adding volume and mass, but trying to do it in a thoughtful, sensitive way that respects the house.
And we looked at another version of this where you take the front of the house and kind of recreate that right next to it, and it just didn't fit. And so the way it actually looks like the L now is that the back side of that house that was there 17 years ago was put on, it actually feels like it's completed now with the structure the way it's designed. And what we really gain is 2 sizable bedrooms. Right now, as you know, with older homes, there are no closets whatsoever. In addition to that, we're missing a bedroom, and we don't really have like a core staircase for us as well. So it's a little bit more living space, but much more functional. And for us, as we have my parents come or her parents come, it also gives us some more space for that too. So, and they'll be coming more. So, but yes, that was the request that I gave to Al, and we absolutely love this design. But definitely, I have not been through this process previous, so wide open to comments and feedback.
Al, did you have sketches or something that you said you wanted to hand out?
I have floor plans.
Would
if
that be,
if
would you like to see those,
Do you want
everybody? Sure, that'd be great, Al.
Just this building right here, that's the addition, just this one on the edge, not the other side, right?
This is existing.
That's all existing, okay.
Here, Al,
Yeah, pictures would be great.
You know,
let me do it.
I didn't make copies of these stuff, so I just have these. But that's this view here. That's front view, and so this view here is that, and that's the addition that's there now that would be taken
That's
off.
his.
Oh, okay.
And so this is all here,
Yep,
and then that
yep.
ends right here.
Right,
And then we're filling in the corner and then completing it out to this.
okay,
By ending the entire.
thank you.
There was a previously approved addition behind the house, and then when we got in, it wasn't really going to work for the space we were looking for the additional bedroom.
That's great. I'll do it. You just
Same
put it
picture.
here.
Questions or comments?
This is share.
Did you look at options where the ridge on the new addition was lower? Because it looks like it aligns with everything that's there, right? Right.
This one?
Yeah.
What happens, I did,
Your microphone, Al, I'm sorry.
my bad. When, aligning the eaves is critical, and then if I looked at lowering this roof slope, it just didn't go anywhere at all, because it just lost all balance, and because this one is doing the exact same thing, it just fell into place. That's what this needed to do, and then breaking it back allows these windows to be spaced properly. And then there's a nice shadow line that happens here, and then so this is the right proportion based on that and based on what it's doing for the house, and then stepping that back allows this lower ridge line in here. And again, it goes back to the cornice line of everything sort of aligning. So the knowns are kind of determined, established, and it's working within that framework to build something or design something that sort of, fits well with the existing house, thoughtfully. So, yeah, I don't know if I answered the question, but.
So is that occupiable space in the attic on that addition there? Or
No.
It's just attic?
No, it's not.
Because I think I kind of agree with Mike that it starts to feel like that's the more prominent part of the facade, because the gables turn toward the street as
Right.
opposed to the colonial box that's sort of the more historical part. It almost feels like over time the mass is now getting to be mostly addition, It's-
But, yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah, but I think stepping it back,
I almost think like maybe if you could take the piece between,
you can,
yeah, so if this piece just continued over,
yeah,
right, and this went this direction, then it would start to feel more cohesive, and this would be the secondary part to this, Because right now, this feels very tall, because this is facing the street. This is the same height as this, but this is facing the street, and this is what's what's facing the street down here. So if you could step that back and bring this eave down here, and maybe even have a little dormer, or dormers on this side, I don't know. It might make it feel a little bit less grandiose and give the attention more to the,
I did look at that,
Yeah.
the dormer, I think it would.
not sure if the heights work.
It's sort of, I like where you're going with it, but it's just the idea of the dormer, it's sort of.
Yeah.
Would the dormer be on the second floor you're talking about, or the third floor?
It'd be right where the center, the piece between is. Yeah, you just continue that over. Yeah.
Create a dormer coming through as a lesser.
Right, almost
If
could
the
do it
dormer's
like
on the
that.
third floor, it gives us the space we need for the two bedrooms on the second. Al looked at, like I said before, kind of taking what has in the front there and making kind of a smaller version of that on the left-hand side. We can show them the drawings for sure.
This is.
Yeah, there you go.
This is that concept.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right, but when we looked at it a little further, this mass was, in my opinion, competing against this mass. It was too.
It takes away from a little bit.
It was great interest.
And I will tell you that from our side,
This is great.
from our side, it accomplishes the goal. But I guess what, I was looking at it kind of like an L-shaped house, right? Where the end of the L matches the other side. And that's kind of why we were like, I think that looks really visually correct.
Right.
But if this is more pleasing for the team, I'm totally fine with that. As long as we were able to get the bedroom space, that's what we're really looking for.
Is that a garage? Is that your garage? Is that attached? Is that
That's-
part of the
yeah.
property?
It is, yep.
So there's another piece.
There is another
Not
piece, and I didn't
necessarily
build it, and I can build it if you think if it's.
I think it's helpful to understand the entire mass of the property.
Yeah.
Because I think, it's another small piece that's added onto this. And I think to see that in context with everything else is
Yeah.
I think it'd be helpful.
Virginia, that would be the gestalt.
Yeah, I see what you're saying about the competition of this.
You see houses on Main Street, I don't know the exact number, but you know where the bagel shop is, you're heading towards town. Before you go down the hill, there's this gorgeous blue house that has the main section and then two on each side. And because it has one on each side, it looks symmetrical. But when you have the main house and then one on one side and not the other one, it was kind of like, So I was trying to figure out, you had a very good phrase earlier, I'm trying to remember it exactly, but trying to find the right way to, if you're going to do addition, to have it make sense based on the core structure in the original design of the house. And so since the other addition's already there, we were trying to figure out a way to have it on the other side where it kind of matches and it makes more sense. But like I said, whatever looks the best because our house looks from different angles, because you've got Main Street and you've got Thompson, so without a doubt, it is something to consider.
And maybe you could do something like this, where you actually broke up that facade, sort of like what you're doing there, maybe had one part of the roof a little bit higher than the other, so you could start to separate it a little bit.
Could you say that one more time? Just
So you sort of have a break between that roof and the addition.
Oh, here, break it
So-
here, and then step it out again and grade it.
Yeah, so sort of making a couple different level changes between the existing.
I didn't look at that one yet, but that, yeah, that could,
So if you feel like this is impacting the existing too much, maybe there's some way to sort of separate it a little bit.
Oh, this is a great job with this model. I mean, it helps us
oh, good, yeah.
realize
Thanks, Andrea.
what's going on. I mean, at this stage, it's really helpful.
Yeah, I think so, too. I mean,
So here's some questions that I'll ask now, and I'll probably ask again at a future meeting. So I don't know the square footage of the other homes on the street or in the nearby area. So this is, without knowing that, I'd probably ask you square footage of this to start, how much square footage you're adding, so what's the total square footage going to be on a .65 acre lot? And I'd be looking at that versus some of the other properties that are on the street that are in the area. This is like, the way I'm looking at this now is you've got basically two houses joined together right now. That's before you're doing any construction to start. And you're putting, it's like a third house onto this property. So you've got, the one that you want to build could be a standalone house somewhere. I mean, it could be. I mean, it's just,
it could be the house that is on Blaisdell, right?
It could be its own house. So basically what you're doing here is you're joining, I'm looking at the different gables and the different homes, the different configurations that happen over time, and you've got basically three homes here now. So I don't want the main house to lose its prominence, the main colonial that started there. I want that still to be the focus of this property. And I'm just, I'm a little concerned in the direction you're going in and the square footage you're adding. And I think this is, you know, I understand what you're trying to do with the family and the growth and, you know, working at home, that sort of thing. But you start to kind of lose that main colonial and its presence there, and how it was initially, you know, constructed and how the property looked. I think with the, you know, 17 years ago, the idea was, let's build off the back here. And I wasn't on the commission there, but I'm assuming let's build off the back, let's put a ridge line off the back, and let's do a, you know, garage and a, you know, a little connector there. I get that. And now we're coming, you know, coming in, you know, out another way. So it's starting to get, there's a lot of mass here, and I want to understand the neighborhood better and how this is going to fit in. I don't want this to be a restaurant. You know, it's just like, it's big, it's starting getting big for a .65 acres. It's kind of my initial take on this. But
Sure.
I need to go walk the neighborhood.
I was going to say, I was going to invite you over.
Look around.
Yep.
But it's becoming a very big building on a small lot. You know, not a small lot, but it's
For sure. And if you look across the street, there was a complete, like, gut of the, was it 390, I guess, or directly across. And then there was the church that they've just done recently that's for sale still, right? So there's pretty good-sized mass buildings that are there. But if you walk the lot, what you'll find out is because there's a pre-existing structure that's already a third of the size of this building as well. And I agree with you, by the way. These houses are tough, though, because it's a lot of small rooms, and there's not a really good benefit of the space that's been used. And so I'm trying to figure out a way to accommodate it.
It's a drawback of living in historic districts.
Totally agree.
These are old homes, and they were designed for, 200 years ago for, at different times. So,
Agreed.
and we're all trying to make the interiors of these work for modern-day living, and it's a challenge. But, our job here is to preserve the districts in the best way that we can. So that's how we're looking at it. That's how I'm looking at it.
Totally understand. And we looked at dormering out the back of the primary building, but then that didn't necessarily provide us the space either. So we understand, and like I said, we totally invite you to come out and walk the property for sure.
Virginia, any initial input?
No, I would echo your concerns and see what can be done to minimize the massing and still give you what you would like.
What's the square footage that you have now?
It's 4,050.
Really? Okay.
And I will tell you, and this is no offense to him, because I like him as an architect, but when they did the addition, the back half of the house is rather thin. And so all we really got was a kitchen in the living room and a master bedroom. And our master bedroom was like this tube that you actually walk down through. So it didn't really give anything for like the family and the kids as far as like bedrooms or a new staircase. So if you actually look at the staircase today, it's like you walk up, you almost hit your head, and then you kind of go like this, and it's like a ladder. So I'm trying to figure out a way to at least get a staircase in, which is absolutely critical. But now we've got kiddos that are growing into the ages of, it'd be nice to have, and we all grew up with kids in our rooms and bunked up, and I get that. But it would be nice to have a bedroom for each one of the kiddos. That's kind of the goal, right? So going back to it, it would probably be removing about 150 square feet and adding another 750. So it's probably 1,000 square foot altogether, but we're also losing that structure, the structure that's currently there, that's about a third of the size of the addition that we're looking at now. So that's, like I said, I'm open to whatever you guys think is best. Again, I haven't gone through the process. This is our idea of what looked visually pleasing based on what was there, but you guys know it so much better than we do, so open to whatever guidance you can provide.
Yeah, I think a site visit would be...
Yeah, can we schedule that now?
Yes, we can.
Oh, good. And then...
We can do that.
Get on the agenda, I don't know, fill out the certificate of appropriateness and...
For November the 15th
Okay.
is the next meeting. So, let's see, I did not bring in my calendar. But Miss Sherry does. She's all over this.
What did you say, the 15th is
The 15th is the next meeting. So we've got,
That's a holiday weekend before.
oh, there's a,
That's a
oh, that's
holiday.
Veterans Day before that, right. So, and November 3rd already is this Saturday. And then we're into the holiday weekend. Are people around on the 10th? I'm talking about Veterans Day is Monday, the 11th. 12th, I'm sorry.
That's a holiday.
I think I'm around the 10th.
I'm not, but I can go by, take a
Okay.
look another time, so.
Mac,
I think I'm around. Check my way.
Fortunately,
you are?
unfortunately.
Okay.
Nothing exciting.
want to be?
So is that Saturday? Is that
Saturday's the 10th, yeah.
Okay, so Saturday, the 10th?
Okay, great.
All right, say around 9 o'clock.
I'm sorry, Andy, was it 9?
9 o'clock, yes, thank you.
Good with you?
Yeah, I'll make it work.
Great. Thank you.
Nice
Okay,
job.
thank you. What a
No,
nice job on the
At the very
model.
least, I get to have that in my office and go, check this out.
But you don't get that.
Come on, I want that, come on. I want to-
Have to build another one.
Oh,
Is that part of your fee?
I was going to say, how does that work? I need to pay extra for that. We'll talk about that on the staircase. Thanks for your time, very much.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you.
Thanks, Al.
thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Great.
Nice meeting you.
I don't think we have anything else of yours. Okay. Great.
Okay.
You too.
All right. Hey, sorry for the delay. Next up.
Oh, you too. You had to wait.
This is
Here
another
comes
informal.
Alex.
Say November 10th?
Yes.
Yeah. This is 29 Pleasant. You may remember, about 6 months ago, we approved a garage on Pleasant Street, the old clapboard house, and there was the demolition of a garage and a new garage going in. And it's Alex, or?
It's Alex.
Alex is here for the applicants who would like to make some modifications to the garage to accommodate a larger vehicle, I believe. That's correct. So, why don't you take it away? Thanks for coming in, thanks for waiting.
Yes, thank you for seeing me. So you basically outlined it well. The owners, since the original design, which was approved a few months ago, they've bought a new car, and it's a little bit tight in the original design. So my easiest solution to have the least amount of effect on the previously approved design was to just move the front wall towards the street 1 foot 9 inches. That's indicated pretty well on the site plan there. There's also a floor plan that shows it pretty well as the last page. So that's the first change that I have shown here. We can talk about the other two now, or we can talk about... So the other two are changing the roof pitch from a 9 pitch to a 10. The reason being just because I think it is a little bit more proportionate and a little bit more classic for this style of garage and this size of a building. And the third being the trim detail at the north elevation and the south elevation.
What page would that be on?
Which one?
What you just mentioned, the
The trim
trim.
detail,
What page?
A 1.0,
Okay, got it.
and then A 1.3.
Thank you.
So on all the drawings, the only text shown are the changes. Everything else is the same.
Alex, do you remember what the main house height was?
I do not. Looking to see if it's indicated here somewhere, but it's not.
We can go back and look it up before the next meeting. We had it, I'm sure we've got it in the drawings, the old drawings.
So the roof pitch, the increased roof pitch would raise the ridge, I think, 9 inches from the 9 pitch.
How did you come to the change in the pitch? Did you just, it's just from other garages that you've built, or did you look at some of the other garages in the area, or what was the pitch change?
Well, originally I went with the 9 just to keep the ridge low. And it didn't sit well with me. I liked the 10 better. So I was hoping to gather your thoughts on whether or not the 10 was okay.
I believe you also mentioned that the Roberts also liked
The 10 better?
The 10 better.
They do, yes.
It looks great. Do you guys recall some of the other pitches that we've done on some garages that we've approved recently? Is this about 24 feet wide?
Yes.
Yeah, we've done
25.
some 24s. What, you guys remember, like, Main Street, Lower Main, there's 2 garages there we did. There was Lincoln, were those 10s? I can't remember.
I don't remember, but,
10, we've seen it before, I don't remember in which application, but it's not unfamiliar, certainly in something like this.
I do a lot of work, I work closely with Ben Burnham, who you know. And I would say 90% of the homes we build in town are 10 pitches.
Okay. So we're not going to vote on this or do a straw vote tonight, but Alex is going to come back in next meeting with a formal application, but we can just kind of give him some signals and just some questions about, or some nods or whatever about what we're thinking, and then he can just come back in. So if we think he's on the right direction, then let's just have him come back in with some drawings, or these drawings again.
In fact, I'm going to collect these from you, so that he doesn't have to make more copies.
Okay.
And I'll keep them and send them out.
Minor changes, is that kind of the view, commission? Minor modifications? Yep.
Any glaring?
Pretty modest.
Yeah.
Yeah, and given the fact that the garage is so far away from the house, I think it would be as dramatic to notice the change. It's tucked next to it. It might grab your eye a little bit more, but I think an increased height would be insignificant.
Yeah, I do
Given
remember.
that space.
Yeah, I do remember we were comparing the ridge line of the house to this garage, and I think we were trying to get it as low as we could.
Right.
I don't think 9 inches is going to be a measurable difference between what we already approved. But we'll find out what the ridge height of the house was, and
Okay.
see what that differential is between the two. And
If you think it'd be helpful, I have a drawing of the house as it relates to the garage. I can bring that.
That would be great.
It's a good visual.
If you can bring that to me ahead of time,
Sure, yeah. I can
that'd be
drop
good,
it off
because what
tomorrow.
I'll do is send this out the beginning of November in the regular packet, and if I could have that from you by then, that'd be great.
All right, 10 copies, is that okay?
Yes. Okay.
anything else?
And are you changing the pavilion as well?
No, the pavilion is the same.
Okay, do you feel like you got enough of an indication?
Yeah, I think so. That was very
Okay.
helpful. Thanks very much.
Great,
Thanks for
thanks.
sticking around.
Yeah, thanks for seeing me.
All right, everybody, hand me your Alex plans. And did you fold yours?
I almost did.
Well, thank goodness you didn't.
Phew.
Good night, Alex, thank
I
you.
came very close.
Big trouble.
I know.
We have one other piece of business with the minutes.
Yes, and also, Sherry it is that time again where we need to acknowledge that we understand is that the open meeting law, or is that the conflict of interest? So if you wouldn't mind,
Back page, you can just sign it, you go ahead, if you want to tear those out.
yeah, leave Sherry the back page.
And then the website is on there for that online.
Oh, okay, to do the ethics commission.
And there haven't been any appreciable changes in those laws, I bet.
No, give it time, though.
Thank you, Miss Sherry.
I was just trying to decide whether I should.
So we're missing
This is just
two
acknowledgement of
people
receipt.
tonight.
And then Thomas.
Yeah, Thomas and Ben.
Ooh, I put it in the wrong place.
Oh, man.
I did not follow directions.
You're a teacher, right?
No, that's why they booted me.
Oh.
Just kidding.
Hold those for them. Okay to be different.
Today's the 25th.
Oh, it is the 25th.
Andrea,
Pass that down?
are you going to file these with the...
Yes, Sherry will give them to the, to personnel.
Okay.
Human Resources.
I just found the receipt I got back after doing the
Oh,
audit
yeah.
ethics thing in a folder that I was supposed to drop off.
Oh,
at the office. It just, I'm never, it's never open when I'm here.
When you do it and you get the certificate, you can then just email it to Andrea and she can print them out. That's what we're doing with the planning board. We're just collecting them and we'll take them upstairs.
Okay, all right, then.
It's fine.
Yeah. Thought I had already done that.
Good. Any changes for the minutes?
I didn't have any.
No, I didn't have any.
I just got to get the dates on those again, the minutes.
It was,
It was,
9:13 and
oh,
July 12th.
July.
July 12th.
We already
and
approved the
September
August
13th.
minutes. That was when we had 58 Main Street.
so July 12th?
July 12th.
Oh, why don't I look in here and I can tell you?
Just to make it official.
Just a minute. Yes, July the 12th.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to ratify the minutes for July 12th, 2018, and September 13th, 2018. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right.
Thank you. That was another
Great work. Thank you, Sherry.
excellent job of
Beautiful
Sherry.
minutes. I love what good minutes.
Anything else before we close the meeting?
No, I don't think so.
Just a silly pedantic
silly
question. This is a silly question. As an alternate member, I can vote on the minutes because I'm
Yes.
expressing an opinion, right?
Yes. Okay. I'd like to conclude the Historic Districts Commission meeting for October 25th, 2018. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great job, you guys. Thank you.
20 past 8.